Hi, this is Tom Higgins, and I am a professor teaching in the paralegal program, soon to be legal studies program at Illinois Central College. And I'm going to give you a little orientation to that program. I also teach in some law enforcement courses, criminal justice and 911 dispatch. Give you a little background on me. I'm an ICC graduate. In fact, over my shoulder back there's a photo of me and one of the individuals I'll talk about soon. One of the people that started all those programs I just mentioned, Dr. Roy Wright. So I've been one of you. I started my career on a law enforcement path with a degree in police science, got a degree in criminal justice from Bradley, eventually went to law school, returned to Peoria and practiced in a law firm, and was a partner in that firm before leaving to come to teach here full time. One of my paralegals was Michelle Weghorst, who you'll come to see or hear about as my dean now. She's my boss. She followed me here to be the paralegal program coordinator, coordinated criminal justice and law enforcement and 911 as well before becoming the dean. So that's kind of my history, and I've been here since 1996. I just finished my 25th year teaching here at ICC. I'll give you a little introduction to the program. The legal studies program or paralegal program was developed by Gene Culbertson and Roy Wright, and it was first offered in 1989 as a certificate program with the degree to follow. The intent was to provide an education for persons interested in finding career opportunities working in the law. The program earned its ABA or American Bar Association approval for the first time in 1992. The program name changed from legal studies to paralegal studies in 1997. Following what was at the time a national trend to adopt the occupational title of paralegal over legal assistant. That trend never fully panned out, and it started to transition back towards legal studies, and that's where we're headed. It's a more universally recognized, searchable, and applicable term, legal studies. But we still prepare you to be a legal assistant or a paralegal. So what is a legal assistant or a paralegal? Well, the terms legal assistant and paralegal are used interchangeably. And all through Central Illinois and the state and the country. In our region, legal assistant appears to be a more common term, but you'll also see the term paralegal. Either way, and I'll refer to it as a legal assistant to just stay consistent. A legal assistant is a person who essentially is an assistant to a lawyer. A legal assistant is someone qualified for employment by a lawyer or by their education to work for a lawyer, a law office, a corporation, a government agency, or some other entity, and they perform specifically delegated is a key word, substantive legal work under the supervision of a lawyer. Now, in most instances, legal assistants work for lawyers and assist in the delivery of legal services. A legal assistant may not provide direct legal services or legal advice to another person. A legal assistant may very well be an integral part, if not a catalyst, for legal advice or legal service. In fact, many of our graduates working in law firms have as much, if not more, client contact than the lawyer. But the lawyer is the person who has earned the law license, and they have the duty under the law to provide legal advice or legal services, and they have to review, approve, and deliver that legal service or legal advice through you or taking the work that you've done and then deliver that directly to the client. They have to supervise, approve, and delegate that substantive legal work. So it's a good time to say that, if you have entered these courses under a different pretense than working for a lawyer at some point, in other words, to give legal advice or do legal service for somebody else without becoming a lawyer, this isn't the program for you. In fact, you will be committing unauthorized practice of law. And if you commit an unauthorized practice of law and I find out about it, I'll be the first person to go to the state's attorney and seek that they prosecute you for the unauthorized practice of law. On the other hand, if you want to go to law school at some point, which many of our former students have done, we'll be very happy to help you get there. So unless you're going to go to law school, pass law school, take the bar exam, pass the bar exam, and become a duly licensed lawyer, you work as an assistant to a lawyer under the lawyer's supervision. The analogy that most of us are familiar with is by way of a visit to your family doctor. When's the last time you went to your doctor and saw her for more than 5 minutes at the end of the visit? You know the drill. First, you check in at reception. They have you fill out those same old forms. Eventually, you're ushered into an examination room, probably stopped to be weighed or whatever along the way by a nurse practitioner or physician's assistant. And they ask you all the questions, take your history, find out what's going on with you if you have something going on with you. They update your chart, get the lab tests going. And they tell you the doctor will be in shortly. After what seems like forever, the doctor knocks on the door and enters. She speaks with you briefly, reviews the nurse practitioner, physician assistant, or nurse's notes, and verifies the information. The doctor signs off on the information that they provided, what they've written in the record, what they've typed in or written in your chart. And then, because they hold the medical license, it's their duty to review, approve, and then follow up on whatever that person did. They issue the medical advice or service directly, or they direct that you get that medical service, like a shot or some other test. That's the analogy. The lawyer must review and approve the work of the legal assistant because the lawyer holds the law license. It is the lawyer's duty to review and approve and dictate the legal advice or service. Now, there are some exceptions in which a person may find themselves employed by an entity that isn't necessarily a traditional law firm or lawyer employed position, because using their legal assistant knowledge and skills may come in handy in those positions. That may be a position found in a human resources office, insurance claims, banking, real estate, social service agencies, government and corporate or medical offices. The law transcends and regulates every industry and occupation, so there is typically a need for people in those organizations to have knowledge of the law and the ability to perform functions that their employer must complete in order to be in compliance with the law. So this education may lead to those types of positions where you use your education and training received in our program on a daily basis, but you may not work directly for a lawyer, and the position is entitled legal assistant or paralegal. You're not giving legal advice, you're not performing legal services, but you're doing things that are more regulatory. As an example, one of our former grads, and in fact, somebody who was one of my paralegals when I was in the full-time practice of law, worked in the traditional paralegal legal assistant role for a while, and then went to work at an insurance company. She worked her way up and eventually for that particular insurance company was their director of compliance. She's now moved on to another state, to a larger company in a whole different position where she has some senior vice president title, being over compliance, actually to some degree managing lawyers. And so that's pretty amazing, making a lot more than most lawyers in this area, probably anyway. An interesting fact here: some of the largest law firms and corporate law offices in the region report a change in their business model that includes hiring more legal assistants than lawyers, and that trend is expected into the near future. This coincides with other projections. For instance, the Bureau of Labor Statistics notes that available legal assistant positions are expected to grow at a faster than average rate over the next 10 years. It's a good time to get into this. Now, it might be a good time, but how do you know this is a program or the career for you? Society places so much pressure on us to choose a career. Do we really know the exact career path or position we want to be in for the rest of our working lives? And even if we do, will that position be there for 5, 10, 25 years? Well, I think from the stats I just gave you, we can expect that the position will be there. In our experience, people who have an interest in the law and they're willing to help others through the knowledge and skills they earn in the law typically find a wide range of satisfying career options. It's these two primary factors, an interest in the law and a desire to help other people navigate the law, that really determines if this is a career path for you. Through our paralegal post-degree certificate, we often see people who have taken a different career path, done all sorts of things in life to earn a living, and then end up in our program because they have always had an interest in working in the law. These are people who worked in every position and career field you can imagine. And in my time, my 25 plus years doing this, I've seen people that had careers as an EMT, as a nurse, primary school teacher, police detective, accountant, a PhD holding a university abnormal psychology professor position. This person was a retired university professor with a PhD in abnormal psychology, sitting in my classroom, taking our paralegal certificate, now works as a paralegal in a legal aid office, always had an interest to do something in the law. And this is what she did with her retirement. And I sat there in class wondering, she's analyzing me, how crazy I am. No, she was a great student, but can you imagine that? I mean, obviously much greater teaching experience than I had and a degree in abnormal psychology. Kind of freaked me out. The common denominator in all these individuals was they had a desire to work in the law. Now, for some, it may have been an interest that they ignored for decades. For others, it may have been an interest developed over time. And for some, it may have been an interest developed through their own experiences interacting with the legal assistant or the law. But again, the two primary elements we see in our graduates are in an interest in the law and a desire to help other people navigate or be helped by the law and the legal system. Those are the factors. Another interesting fact: ICC graduates have taken their interest in the law a step further and gone on and completed law school. Most of these individuals worked as legal assistants while in law school. Law school, there's no financial aid, it's student loans or scholarships. So you have to work. Most law students work. Some of these legal assistants receive tuition assistance while in law school and a guaranteed job as a lawyer with their employer upon graduation. all of these graduates have credited their education at ICC as being a key component in their success in law school, and all of these individuals pass the bar exam the first time. So if that's where you're thinking you'll get someday, and odds are that one or more of you may do that out of this particular group starting this semester, it's good to know. How much money do legal assistants expect to earn? What's the bottom line, right? Show me the money. Typically, the median salary in this area is much higher than the median salary for all occupations. Now, it varies depending on the size and location of the employer as well as the benefits available, but we caution our students to avoid making assumptions. There are some small employers that pay as well as, if not better, than large ones. So you have to explore, investigate every position because it may be different. And that process is probably different than what you experienced in other career fields. But throughout the course of our program, we provide information relevant to navigating the employment process, and we'll help you there. We do caution, this is a profession, it's not a job. There's a difference. A profession is a paid occupation, one that requires training and formal qualifications. And in the law, it requires a career-long commitment to maintaining and updating your knowledge and skills. Because it's a profession, you will enter as a new legal assistant with the same experiences as new lawyers in those early years after graduation. It's not uncommon that a recent legal assistant graduate may work for 2 or 3 law firms or in various practice areas before finding their niche in the law or the employer with whom they feel most comfortable. Same happens with new lawyers. Also, as with new lawyers, the salary expectations typically take a backseat to job satisfaction. But as the legal assistant finds professional success in an area of the law he or she excels in, or with an employer that best suits them, they see that already higher than average salary expectations, and those expectations continue to climb. So the short answer to the question, legal assistants earn much better than average compensation. Focus on developing experience as a professional in the area of the law, or with an employer that best supports your personal goals or expectations, and compensation will continue to be better than average for you as well. Another question that comes up, why do people choose our programs? Well, one reason is we offer the oldest and best established program in all of Central Illinois. Other institutions that offer similar programs have tuition that's 4 or 5 times more expensive. ICC has agreements in place that allow in-district tuition rates for students living in all of our surrounding community college districts. Blackhawk, Carl Sandburg, Heartland, Illinois Valley, Spoon River. You probably will see students in your classes who came from outside our community college district for that reason. They can take courses offered at their home college and complete our program courses at ICC, and our long-standing relationships with those schools has led to convenient opportunities for students to go back and intern in those locations and then find employment in those communities. Another reason is you can begin our program at any time of the year, fall, spring, or summer semesters. Our course schedule includes a combination of online and online scheduled courses. Online scheduled courses are online courses with an expectation that you log in and participate live on a certain day and time per week. Now, we used to have a hybrid schedule. and you had to come to campus on a certain day and at a certain time. COVID kind of knocked that off the schedule, as we all know. And then as we developed these courses in the online schedule format, the students said, look, this is more convenient. I can log in and get the same thing from work or home without spending 45 minutes, an hour more, especially those out of district students, driving to campus for that same experience. And so we've structured our courses so you can be successful in that way. Our graduates and their success are proof of our efforts and our effectiveness in this program. So what should you expect of your courses? Well, you should expect your courses to be structured with expectations of this career field. The introduction course isn't intended to be a strenuous course, but from that course on, you're expected to read, you're expected to prepare, you're expected to participate in class and complete all assignments by stated deadlines. No excuses. In the law, we have deadlines for everything. And if we don't meet those deadlines, bad things happen to our clients, to our supervising lawyer, to our law firm, to your job as a paralegal, to our reputations. It's an expectation. The other courses take those general expectations and add career-focused elements that are related to the topic of that particular course. Same expectations for you: reading, preparing, participating, completing all assignments and expectations by the stated deadlines, with a focus on that professionalism aspect, developing those content-specific or topic-specific and course-specific things you need to be competent in. If you need to miss a class, or you're late with an assignment, or you expect to be late with assignment, more likely is the better way to put that, we expect the same type of communication, verification, and excuses found acceptable in the workplace. That's simple. In other words, an effort to contact your instructor in advance of that missed class or that missed deadline. And it's a request to be excused or to get an extension. It's not a statement, I'm not going to be in class. It's, I'm sick, or my kid's sick, or I had a death in the family, or I had something that's an excuse for you missing work, right? That level. And it's a request. Presented in the same manner an employer would expect of you, the same type of expectation that you're going to have in a law office. Just as with a job, don't make it a habit. Make it a rare exception. We provide plenty of notice and ample time to get your tasks and assignments complete, but you have to schedule your own time. And you have to be committed to that time and put in the effort, and you have to do the work. In a nutshell, you should expect to go to work, to put in the time and effort necessary to prepare yourself for a challenging, rewarding, and rarely boring career in the law. And you should expect that if you do, you will find exactly that when you complete our program. If this is a career path for you, it will be a passion. You won't have to work at it as much as you will be intrigued by it. You'll be interested by it. You'll be motivated by it. You'll be a lifelong student of the law, and as experienced and seasoned as you may become as a professional, you will always be open to the law teaching you something. I've been at this a long time. My first position related to the law came in 1985. I learned something every day, or nearly every day, about the law. It's what keeps me going, keeps me here. From your first class through graduation and long into your career, we will be here to help you and guide you and support you and learn from you and your experiences and your success. So communicate now throughout the program in the years after you graduate. Be sure to follow us and stay in contact. ICClaw.net, ICClaw.net. Save the site. Go to the site. You'll notice that there's jobs posted. There's information when we get to the enrollment times and information related to the program. We'll post that. Most important is job and career related things. And you'll go back to that site 10 years after you're a paralegal if you decide to look for another job. Employers come to us to post those jobs. I get those phone calls and emails, and I post those jobs. You don't see those jobs in the newspaper. Rarely do you see any of the jobs that we post on our site, on Indeed or any of those websites, or in the newspaper. They come to us. So go to ICClaw.net. Get in the practice of doing that. This is your orientation to our program. You may have a little assessment to determine if you watched and listened to this orientation. And you can see that most likely in your 110 and your 112 class. But it's here and you can go back and listen to it at any time. I hope I've lined up what the expectations are and answered your questions, but if not, in all likelihood, you have me for class. And so you're going to see me live on Zoom, or you're going to have me online. Ask away. I'm accessible. Otherwise, stay well, welcome, and we're happy to have you here with us.